Telephone etiquette. What is telephone etiquette? What is its importance? And what are the proper ways in answering your company's phone calls? Well, by watching this video, you will learn and know more about this topic. Communicating over the phone remains an important tool for businesses. Despite digital customer service communication advancements including email, texting, and automated answering services, customers continue to use the telephone as the initial point of contact. Phone calls are often the first positive impression a client or customer will have of your business. Moving forward, let us define telephone etiquette. Telephone etiquette is the way you use manners to represent yourself and your business to customer via telephone communication. This includes the way you greet a customer, your tone of voice, word choice, listening skills, and how you close a call. It means being respectful to the person you're talking with, showing consideration for the other person's limitations, and allowing that person time to speak. Now that we know its definition, let us now discuss about its importance. We always say that first impressions last, right? Well, this statement also applies on businesses or companies. By showing professionalism on phone calls, it creates good first impressions and it creates customers' trust and loyalty towards your company. Proper telephone etiquette is important because it's usually the first contact point for a customer and represents how your business will treat them in other conversation. Did you know, according to new voice media study, 42% of consumers switch brands because they are put off by rude or unhelpful staff? More statistics from Right Now tell us that 73% of consumers say friendly customer service reps can make them fall in love with the brand. After knowing telephone etiquette's definition and importance, it is now time for us to learn some tips and rules on how we should properly answer calls. Number 1. Answer a call within 3 rings. If your position entails always being able to callers, you should actually be available. That means staying focused and answering calls immediately. The last thing you want to do is keep a customer waiting after a string of endless ringing or send them to voicemail when you should have been able and ready to reply. As long as you're alert at your phone at all times, this rule should be fairly simple to follow. However, it is recommended to respond within 3 rings in order to give yourself enough time to get in the zone and prepare for the call. Number 2. Immediately introduce yourself. Upon picking up the phone, you should confirm with the person whom they have called. In personal calls, it's sufficient to begin with a hello and let the caller introduce themselves first. However, you want to allow the caller to know if they've hit a wrong number, as well as whom they are speaking with. Practice answer the phone with, "Hi, this is," then state your first name, from, then state your company's name, and say, "How can I help you?" Your customer will be met with warmth, which will encourage a positive start to your call. Number 3. Speak clearly. Telephone calls do require very strong communication skills. For one, the person on the other end of the line can only judge you based on your voice, since they don't get to identify your body language and hopefully kind smile. You always want to speak as clear as possible. Project your voice without shouting. You want to be heard and avoid having to repeat yourself. A strong, confident voice can make a customer trust you and your support more. Tip: in case of bad cell service or any inability to hear or be heard, immediately ask to hang up and call back. Number 4. Only use speakerphone when necessary. We all know the trials of speakerphone. It's easier for you because you can use your hands to multitask. However, For the other caller, it's like trying to hear one voice through a honking crowd, which is impossible and frustrating. Give your customers your full attention and avoid speakerphone. This will make it easier for both parties to be heard, and it will ensure that you're actually paying attention to them. You may need to use speakerphone at your occasions, such as when it's a conference call or when you're trying to troubleshoot on the phone. While speakerphone may be appropriate at these times, it's always better to use a headset to remain hands-free. Number 5. Actively listen and take notes. Speaking of paying attention to your customers, it's essential that you're actively listening to them throughout the conversation. Actively listening means hearing everything they have to say and basing your response off of their comments rather than using a prescribed script. This proves to your customers that you're present and are empathetic to their inconveniences. It's helpful to take notes during support calls. You'll want to file a report post-conversation, and notes will be immensely helpful. It also ensures that during long explanations from customers, you can jot down the main points and jump into problem solving without requiring them to repeat. Number 6. Use proper language. A key difference between professional and personal phone calls is obvious: the language. It might be acceptable to use slang and swears when talking on the phone with your friends, but this kind of language can cause you to lose a customer for life. Always be mindful and respectful when on the phone. You never know what customers might be offended by something you say, so it's best to use formal language. 7th tip. Remain cheerful. Always remain positive and friendly, especially in the face of negativity. Your optimistic outlook may be enough to turn a failing phone call right around. Remind yourself that the last thing your customer probably wanted was to spend their afternoon on the phone with customer support. So, make that call the best it can be, and it may create a loyal and lifetime customer. Number 8. Ask before putting someone on hold or transferring a call. If you must put a customer on hold or transfer their call, always ask for their permission first. Explain why it's necessary to do so, and reassure them that you or another employee are going to get their problem solved swiftly. By keeping your customer on the loop, they'll be less inclined to complain about a long wait time. Number 9. Be honest if you don't know the answer. You might need to put a customer on hold or transfer their call if the dreaded occurs. You don't know the solution. Perhaps you've tried everything you can or simply have no idea what they're talking about. Don't panic. Customer support representatives are human, and it's okay not to be the omniscient voice of reason. It's best to admit when you don't know something rather than making excuses or giving false solutions. However, tell them that you're going to do everything you can to find an answer and get back to them momentarily, or find a coworker who does know the answer. Number 10. Be mindful of your volume. You always want to be mindful of your volume and ensure that you're not disrupting the ability of your coworkers to speak to customers and get their work done. If you are on a call that requires you to speak louder due to a bad connection or a hard of hearing customer, simply step out of the room and speak with them separately. Your customers are always your main concern, but you don't want to inhibit the work ethic of others in your workplace. Lastly, check for the response to voicemails. It's quite possible that a customer might reach out to you when you're on a break or after you've left work for the day. If it's possible for you to receive voicemails, make sure you're always checking for them. It's easy for a voicemail to slip under the radar, but the customers won't easily forget. Those are just a few out of many telephone etiquette tips and rules. I hope you have learned something today about telephone etiquette. Remember the tips, its definition, and its importance. I am Sandra Pamintuan, and thank you for watching.